Zoom recording. Thanks, Al. All right, so we are screen sharing and recording. Is the screen good, Alan?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so tonight we're going to be providing a general overview of the competency-based education cohort. There are two pathways that we're going to go over, two ways that you might pursue certification. And so we're going to be providing an overview of both pathways, but there are going to be more opportunities for you to get more specific information based on which pathway you think might be best for you and your career later on. So just know that there's a lot of questions that we can answer, programmatic questions, JCPS based questions. There's lots of stuff we can talk about. So please put your questions in the chat as they come up. But there might be some questions that might be better answered by our program partners, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. So there's multiple ways for you to get your questions answered. Of course, here tonight with us, there's going to be a Google form to attend future specific sessions with program partners. You can put questions there. And then our program partners are super awesome and flexible and are willing to talk with you about which option might be best for you. So with that being said, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. We'll answer them as best we can this evening. And Joe, Alan, and or myself will be monitoring that to make sure that we address those as those come up.
Sure. Before we move on, there was one question put in the chat that I just want to put on the sound since we are recording, and that was, do you have to be present at this meeting or the prior informational session to participate in this program? And the answer is no. That's why we're recording this, so that we can share it with other interested people. And there are other information sessions with the specific providers that will come later as well.
Yeah, we're just trying to make sure that everyone who could potentially be interested has access to the info. So we're doing it live here in person and then sharing the recording out as well. So with that being said, if there's a teammate that, you know, or a colleague you think might be interested and you want to share the info, you're welcome to do so. And then again, later on, we're going to talk about some opportunities to get more specific program information. And then we'll be sharing all of the materials from tonight to you either tonight or in the morning. All right, so what are we talking about this evening? Great question. So our district is making a shift to competency-based education, like a lot of people in education. And so this opportunity that we're talking about this evening is an opportunity for you to earn a certification in competency-based education. Now, a little bit about competency-based education. It's a shift away from some things that we might call traditional. Timing is different. We're moving away from tying learning and achievement to seat time, and rather moving to a place where time is more variable, where learners, adults and kids can move through the process as flexibly and as fluidly as their learning context needs, within reason, of course. And I think a lot of these shifts have started to happen in our district. So it might be that you or your school are kind of already in this process, or it could be totally new to you. That's totally fine. We're shifting to a place where learning is the focus rather than a transaction or a task. So for example, rather than giving feedback about a test or homework or an assignment, we're going to give feedback on the learning that task was designed to allow the learner to access, engage with, or demonstrate. We're moving towards a place where the instruction and the framework of the instructional experience is something that's very transparent for kids, well for all learners, kids and adults included. We're going to talk about this a little bit later on, but what we're offering is a competency-based pathway about competency-based education. We'll talk a little bit about that third bullet because participants in this cohort will experience all of these things. And then assessments are student driven and focused on mastery rather than, you know, something being time-based or task-based. So these are just some nitty-gritty comparisons. Some of them we talked about, like time. Other things are a little bit more specific. And again, like we'll share this with you guys. You'll have a chance to go through it more specifically. I might even be able to just put it in the chat now. Yes. Okay. Okay. So what we really want to get to is our why and our how. The why for this cohort. Well, if we're going to ask anyone in education to make a shift away from something and towards something else, we need to give people the tools and expertise and time and resources to do that. And so this cohort is an opportunity for our educators in JCPS to become trained in both the philosophy behind competency-based education, in addition to how to practically implement it in your own context, whether you're a classroom teacher, district teacher, math teacher, PE teacher, ELL teacher, or whomever. And this process is competency-based in itself. So you as a learner will experience the type of education experience that we're trying to design for kids. This demonstrates the commitment to the shift. We're going to talk about, everyone's kind of skin in the game a little bit later, but this is something JCPS is fully funding. So this will not cost you a dime to earn this certification. So we're really putting our money where our mouth is on this one. And then again, this offers an internal pathway within JCPS for us to grow our own educators and to offer the types of experiences to educators that we want educators to be able to design for kids. Benefits for you as the participant, well, you get this specialized training in, again, the CBE theory and application. It's something that all of Kentucky is talking about nationwide. So this is a very marketable, transferable certification. We're talking about training that's supported and funded by JCPS. There are lots of questions on our initial interest session about, what would be required of me financially? $0, absolutely nothing. JCPS is fully funding this venture. It is competency-based, so you'll get to experience competency-based education. Our first cohort had nothing but positive things to say about that experience and about how that inspired such growth in them as learners. And then opportunity to lead our shift. We know that we need highly trained educators in this area all over the district to lead the shift in what it looks like at kind of a macro level in schools and classrooms, but also to serve on committees and decision-making bodies to help us look for what kinds of shifts and changes might we need to enact to get to this vision for competency-based education. Anything in the chat that we need to stop and talk about so far?
So far, I think I've been answering the questions in the chat, but I'll just go through them pretty quickly. First, there was a question, is this program for middle or secondary? It is for pre-K through 12th grade. So all grade levels, all zones, wherever you are, this applies to you. The next question was around special ed teachers. And I want to say, absolutely. We want ECE. We also want ESL. We want everybody in every part of our education system to consider this as a possibility for them. It is not exclusive to any group. And the last question, which I hadn't typed an answer to, and I will, maybe you want to answer this one, Maddie, it is this more PBL-like instead of exam? So I think it's not really a question, but I think it's getting to how do participants engage and how do they demonstrate their learning? Is it very PBL-like or something else?
I would say, as not a participant myself, but someone who's worked with the program designers and the participants, that it is project-esque. There are lots of elements of personalized learning, of project-based learning, lots of deeper learning tenets and instructional strategies that participants will experience and learn about. But I think when we talk about what the program looks like, we'll answer that question a little bit more in depth. So how? So we're offering an opportunity for you to earn a certification in competency-based education. You can pursue this competency-based education certificate in one of two ways. One way is with UK, and the other way is with Spalding. So we'll go into this later, and I'll probably say it more times than you're willing to hear or that you need to hear, but that's okay. I'm going to do it anyway. The content and the process for both pathways, either with Spalding or with UK, are extremely similar. I can't say they're exactly the same, but extremely similar. There's no significant difference in programming or experience between each program. The difference is really around the unit of learning. So with UK, if you pursue this pathway, you are not applying to UK. You will not be a UK graduate student. UK is simply the provider of PD, and your unit of credit is PD credit. Now, UK has a waiver with EPSB to offer this program under the umbrella of continuing education opportunities, which means that UK has gone to EPSB with this program and said, we want to offer this and be able to, for people who earn this certification to apply it to a rank change. And EPSB said, you've got your ducks in a row, great, okay, cool. So if you pursue the UK option, you are not a UK student, you are not receiving graduate credit, instead you're receiving PD credit, but that PD credit and this certificate is eligible to apply for a one-time rank change. Now with Spalding, you are applying to Spalding. You will be a graduate student at Spalding, and you will be earning graduate credit. So within this certification, you will be taking graduate courses and racking up hours of graduate credit. Now, the major differences here are really about, where are you in your career and what works best for you. Because the unit with UK is PD credit, it's not stackable or transferable. And what that means is if you change states, that state might not recognize this PD credit or this certificate, but with Spalding, it is stackable and transferable because it's graduate credit. So just some differences there. So again, both pathways result in earning the certificate upon completion. Both pathways are designed to be competency-based in themselves, and both pathways offer extremely similar content. So again, just the similarities here. In terms of the process, you're going to be experiencing some synchronous events, some asynchronous events, very modular-based learning, and it's designed to be in line with what you're already doing as part of your day job. There's lots of action research, and nearly everything is applicable to your day, your day-to-day with kids. And that design is designed in such a way so that it's not something extra, but it's something that really lives and grows within your practice. Again, the certificate is 100% fully funded by JCPS. JCPS is putting forth $6,000 a person for each participant to earn this certificate.
So Maddie, I'm going to pause right here because we've got some questions that have bubbled up in the chat, and I think they're sort of related.
Sure.
One is around, you've answered one, which is the $6,000 that JCPS is paying up front. So you don't have to pay it and then get reimbursed. JCPS is paying that for you up front. At UK, that will cover the entire program. Again, it is not a graduate program, it's not a degree program, but it is a year-long program that will get you a one-time rank change. With Spalding, that gets you your first 15 hours of graduate credit, which gets you your CBE certificate, same as the UK program, but it also can get you your plus 15, which could be a rank change, or a plus, and then once you complete, if you stay for the entire master's program or all the way to the end of the program, which means you pay for the other 15 yourself, then you would be eligible for rank change, rank 3 to 2, 2 to 1, whatever you need, you can get that, but you're going to have to pay half of that to get that full rank change with Spalding. But those are graduate credits that can transfer into a master's program, whereas UK is not. And I think I've answered most of the questions now that is in the chat, that are in the chat.
Yeah, so let's look at some of those differences. So again, like Joe and I talked about, with the outcome with UK, you can get that one-time rank change. With Spalding, that certificate represents 15 graduate hours which you can stop at that certificate. When you earn that certificate through Spalding and you've got those 15 hours of credit, like that can be the end of your day. Like that's that. Or you have the opportunity to continue building upon that certificate and finish a master's degree in teacher leadership. If you choose to do that, you will have earned a master's degree in teacher leadership, and with a concentration in competency-based learning. You're just kind of pursuing that concentration first. Now,
so before you switch to UK, there's a question in the chat. Can the Spalding graduate credit transfer to another school? Yes, it's just like you had taken any other courses at Spalding. Whether or not another school would accept them would be up to that school. So let's say you took those 15 and you wanted to transfer them to the University of Louisville. It would be up to the University of Louisville to decide how much or what they wanted to transfer into any graduate programs. For example, Spalding typically will only accept 12 hours, not 15 when you transfer into one of their graduate programs. They have, however, made some exceptions for some of our folks in accepting up to 15. But yes, they are graduate credits. You would have a transcript from Spalding. You are a Spalding student, and you can do with those whatever you like once you have earned them.
Now, if you already have a master's, as long as that master's degree is not already in teacher leadership, this second master's at Spalding could also get you your rank change as well. So again, the unit of credit is different. With UK, we're talking about professional learning credit that stays internal for that one-time rank change. With the Spalding option, you can get graduate credit hours that are eligible for transferability as other institutions might accept them. As Joe explained, it varies institution to institution. With UK, there will be cohort members from Shelby County in that cohort. With Spalding, we'll likely be able to fill the cohorts with only JCPS folks, but they have advertised this opportunity statewide and even nationally. So there's a chance that you could be collaborating with colleagues outside of JCPS, but at this point, I'm not sure that's super likely. With the cost, the certificate is funded completely by JCPS. The only difference is that with UK, the process ends at the certificate. With Spalding, the process could end at the certificate, but you also have the option to continue building on this certificate and pursue a master's in teacher leadership beyond those 15 hours that are included in the certificate.
Right. And so, Maddie, there are a few questions around the 15 hours at Spalding. If you do only the 15 at Spalding and you already have a master's, you can get your master's plus 15. To get the rank change with Spalding, and correct me, Alan and Maddie, if I'm saying this incorrectly, to get a rank change with Spalding, you would need to do the 15 that we're paying for plus the additional 15 that you would need to pay for to get the rank change. But that could be a rank change from 3 to 2 or 2 to 1. And again, those are graduate credits that could count towards a degree program. With UK, you're not going to get your plus 15. You can get a rank change one time and no graduate credits. That's the difference. And we're fully funding all of UK, half of Spalding.
Yes, that's all correct. I'll just add that if you decide to pursue the master's at Spalding beyond the certificate, you are responsible for funding that. JCPS isn't committed to funding anything beyond the certificate, but scholarships would apply, FAFSA would apply, and then Spalding's cost per hour is very low when compared to local and national competitors.
Okay, so one more question, and this one I'm going to say I'm going to give a what I think answer, but I think the real answer is you should go to the provider workshops to ask these specific questions. And that is, I don't have a master's already, but I have plus 15 from somewhere else. What should I do? My answer to you is to talk to Glenn Beatty at Spalding and say, hey, will you take my 15 and what can we work out something? Because that's his job. And he will give you the best answers, and he will be at that Spalding session. Again, UK, not graduate credit, that doesn't apply.
Yes, I would totally agree. That's the right answer, Joe. And just a little bit about our partners. Both of our program partners at UK and Spalding are highly familiar with JCPS. They've worked with us before on tons of things. And our partner at Spalding, Dr. Glenn Beatty, used to be an assistant soup here. So our partners are very familiar with the vision of our district and the needs of our teachers. And so I think talking to the program partners about those kind of situation specific questions is your best option. Lastly, just some slight differences. Well, first, a similarity. Both cohorts are designed to last approximately 1 year. The only difference with the timelines are that UK starts sooner. It starts in June. So you'll see that we're going to be moving real quick on that option. Spalding, we're going to be starting cohorts in August, and we have the option of starting cohorts in January if interest and our cohorts require it. So a little bit of difference there on the timelines. All right, so like Joe emphasized earlier, this is open to anyone who's certified. As long as you're certified, your position, or whatever your content teaches or your content is, whatever you teach, we're not saying no to anyone because of those things. We need a really diverse vanguard of highly trained educators. And so this is open to everyone. You can be school-based, you can be district-based. We want admin, we want coaches, resource teachers, all teachers. We are encouraging folks to apply and work in teams. We do know from experience with our first cohort that while it is totally possible to go through this process as a lone wolf, as an individual, impact is higher and the experience is better if you pursue it in a team. Are we going to say no to you if you're an individual? Absolutely not. There's lots of factors at play, but we do encourage folks to apply in teams. Now, your team can be your PLC at your school. Your PLC or your team can be other interested colleagues at your school that aren't necessarily in your PLC. Your team might be people that you know really well across the district. So we're not really giving a lot of we don't really have a lot of requirements on that team makeup, as long as the team is a team of certified JCPS educators. Anything to add or extend upon, Joe or Alan?
No.
Okay. This is just some feedback from our participants, things I want to highlight. The program that we're involved in is competency-based. I had to learn how to relearn. I can do as many or as few as the prep assignments as I needed to show competency. So this is a big shift in how a lot of us are used to learning. It's a dispositional shift. And one of the comments is that we need leaders to be a part of this so that leaders can support the work that teachers are doing and designing around. We are going to be sharing this slide deck. It is in the chat. We'll be emailing it to everyone as well. There are some testimonials from some of our first cohort members. So you can hear, straight from the horse's mouth what it was like to go through the process. And if you find yourself that you are super interested and you want to kind of take the next step to get involved, there are some next steps here. So one is to attend our specific interest sessions. So like we said before, there's lots of stuff that we can talk about, as your district partners, but there might be some program specific questions that you need to ask of UK or of Spalding, or you might want to have a conversation about, your specific context and the credits that you do have in your own career goals and things like that. You are welcome to attend one or both sessions to learn about each pathway opportunity. So we have options May 10th at 4 and Wednesday, May 12th at 9 a.m. with UK. These will be virtual. Wednesday, May 19th and at 9 a.m. and Thursday, May 20th at 4:30 for Spalding. Spalding will be present for their sessions. UK will be present for their sessions. Because we're still living in a pandemic, and we can't, say everyone who's interested come to Camp Edwards and hear about this in person. We have to do it via Zoom. So the way that you tell us that you want to attend and get an invitation to these sessions with our program partners is to complete this form. So by scanning the QR code, I'm also going to put it in the chat. It's linked on the presentation. Completing this form will allow us to have your email and know that you're interested. And that way we'll be able to send you an invitation to these program-specific interest sessions. So if you're interested, please complete this. If you think teammates might be interested, have them complete it. We'll be sending the invitation to all of the emails on the form. So if someone hasn't filled it out, they're not getting an invite. So please make sure that if you want to attend these sessions, or you know someone who does, that the form is completed for every person who wants to attend the sessions.
All right, so Maddie, there's a request for you to put the link to the slide deck in the chat again. And then there are quite a few questions. A few people have asked, if I already have a master's in teacher leadership, what's best for me? And again, my suggestion would be go to both the provider sessions and ask them your questions, but certainly going to UK is an option since you already have a master in teacher leadership. And that's what Spalding is really aligning this work with. However, with that being said, I would also go to the Spalding session and ask them your question, because we know that they are working things out with others to connect that plus 15, the first 15 that JCPS is paying for, into their administrative certification program, right? So if that's something you're interested in, that might be a next step for you, and JCPS is picking up the first 15, right? And there are other programs that you might want, that they may have that might interest you. There was a question in the chat about doctoral programs. We have been in ongoing conversations with Spalding about this. Spalding is in ongoing conversations with EPSB. Doctoral programs are highly governed and ruled, and lots of bureaucracy around what they can and can't do. So I can't say right now that this absolutely will get you into a doctoral program, or that the plus 15 that we're paying for at Spalding will count towards a doctoral program. I can't say that. I would not want to mislead you. However, I will say they're in the process of trying to figure it out, and it may very well be that by August or September, they have an option to offer. They just don't have it right now. Would that be your assessment as well, Alan and Maddie?
Yes. While we've been in talks with, and we're, aware just from our work what the plans are for this type of work around competency-based education, we're not as attuned to Spalding's vision as someone from Spalding, and we're not as attuned to UK's vision as someone from UK. So the best option, or the best answer, is really to talk to our program partners at Spalding or UK to really talk about the long-term impact of earning a certificate like this, and how it might translate or build into other education opportunities for you.
All right, and there is another question in the chat, and this seems to be some ongoing confusion here between UK and Spalding. With Spalding, because you're getting graduate credit, you can get that plus 15 on the JCPS pay scale, right? That's what that plus 15 is. To get the rank change, you have to do the whole program with Spalding, or the whole program with UK. With UK, you don't get a plus 15. You either get a rank change or you get nothing, because they are not doing graduate hours like that. There aren't credits like that.
Right. Yes. All of that's correct. If you have questions, and they might pop up as you're thinking about this later, or after you talk to a colleague or whatever, you are more than welcome to email Joe and or myself. Our emails are linked here in the slide deck. Like I said, there's lots of general questions that we're able to answer with our, JCPS lens. There might be some questions that we say, this is a conversation probably best had with our program partners, but we will try our best to answer the questions that we're able to answer. And if we can't, we will do what we can to connect you with someone who can. At the conclusion of this meeting, we will be sending this recording as well as our slide deck and the form that's linked here to sign up for the next round of interest sessions. We'll be sending that to everyone who signed up for this meeting either tonight or tomorrow. So you will have all of the stuff to use for yourself or to share with colleagues either this evening or tomorrow. And then we've also included at the end of the slide deck just some kind of resources and supporting materials if you're interested in learning a little bit more, getting a head start, defining competency-based education for yourself, or even looking at the artifacts of learning from our first cohort to see what kind of tasks our cohort members have completed as part of their work.
The only other thing I would add before taking any other questions you have is that a procedural step. We'll have the provider sessions coming up here in the next week or two. And then we will be sending out another Google form that is an official application where we're asking you, hey, you've gone to these sessions now. Which one of these things are you interested in? Are you coming by yourself? Are you coming with a team? Who are your people? So that JCPS and the higher ups from us even can look at everyone who's interested and make those determinations of what comes next after that. Because again, JCPS is funding it. So there is some say there and some process on JCPS's side. So if you're thinking, hey, I already know which one, I'm going to go apply with UK, or I'm going to go fill out my Spalding stuff, I would hold off on that because we're going to have some more process steps before we get to that.
We do have some questions in the chat. Can we go ahead and contact Dr. Beatty? I think that's up to you. I'll put his contact in the chat just in case. We're going to have that info session, which will be a chance to really have a discussion, some Q&A, and learn more about the program specifics with our partners at Spalding or at UK. But if you want to go ahead and email them directly, both of our partners are more than willing to have some of those conversations with you that are more about your personal aspirations and your context. And then I think there was
there's a really good question, the last one that just came in, around does your team have to all be UK or all Spalding? And I mean, and I think we may have differing views on this. Some of us, I would say, depends how big your team is. If you're by yourself doing Spalding or by yourself doing UK, my opinion is UK is going to be more flexible for you by yourself because you have more choice in the pathway. They're going to have 10 modules. I think it's 10, maybe more than that, but I think it's 10 modules, and you can choose the order of how you approach those modules, sort of like at your own playlist and move at your own pace approach. Whereas Spalding is the whole team going through things together in a little bit more traditional. It is still very competency-based experience, but you're all going to be in the same module, if you will, at the same time, so that you're working together as a team. So in that case, in that sense, Spalding, I think, leans itself more towards that. That's not to say that your team couldn't split up. If you had 3 people doing UK and 3 people doing Spalding, you 6 could still come together and support each other. And the 3 at UK could certainly choose to go through things as a team and follow the same sequence, right? But you could still come together. I would just say it's better if you have someone that's going through it with you rather than by yourself. But if you're going to do it by yourself, and you want that flexibility, UK provides that, whereas Spalding is more linear.
Right. And we're
and I was going to say, if you did have 2 teams and they were split and they had more than, one person on those teams, then you may not be working on the same things at the same time. If you were at UK, it might be a different kind of topic or substance area than it would be if you weren't doing that at the same time. I was also going to add another thing, just for those of you who are thinking about, well, the first 15 hours is paid for at Spalding, but I'd have to pay for the next 15 hours if I was interested in moving on beyond their certificate and going to get a master's. I just wanted to let you know that the graduate credit hours at Spalding were $405 a credit hour. And I say that because that's actually also not a bad rate. So if you got half of your master's degree covered, that's not bad to begin with. And then the other is at $405. I think other places may be as high as $700 or $800 a credit hour. And then I was also going to say, if you do the UK experience, and while this does allow for a rank change, you just have to think about really where you are, because this notion that Maddie talked about, is it stackable or something, is something to really focus on, because you will, if you're early in your career and let's say you're rank 3 or something, making sure you know how you will build towards your other rank that would follow that one-time rank change at UK would be something you'd want to think about, because this will not be able to be built on top of the same way as graduate credit hours are.
Yeah, and so we're a big enough district where we don't have to be a this district or a that district. We're a what works district, and we saw value in both of these programs by both providers, and they speak to people with different career aspirations who are in different places in their careers. And so both programs are super high quality, and you are going to be experiencing competency-based education either way. It's really a question of what is best for your context, what's best for your career aspirations, and those conversations are really up to you, which is why we think it's okay to split up your team and pursue different things, because your team might be in different places in your careers. But like Joe said, just know the experience might be a teensy bit different, but not largely different. Any other?
Well, I just put a plug in the chat, and so I'll put it again for the sake of the recording. If you have enough degrees, you're already rank 1, you don't want to do any more of this, but you want to know more about CBE, our June 2nd mini deeper learning symposium will have a session or 2 on competency-based education. And starting at that June 2nd mini deeper learning symposium, we'll be getting our PD hours for the 21-22 school year. So that would be a good place to jumpstart getting your hours in. And then also at our August big in-person deeper learning symposium that we usually have in June, we're now having it in August, and it will be in person. We will have sessions on competency-based education, and some of the providers, the professors and whatnot of the 2 different programs will be presenting at the deeper learning symposium. As we're looking into having it be a kickoff day, an in-person kickoff day for the two different groups. So look for those. If you choose to not take either of these, but you want to know more, look for those at our mini and full-blown deeper learning symposiums.
Lindsay has a question in the chat, and I'm sure others want to know, if we're required to do research, does this include a thesis? How do we pass the cohort? So because it's competency-based, it's organized a little bit differently than we're probably used to. All of the instructional requirements and materials for you to show mastery of whatever skills that course or module is designed to align with, you get access to all of those things from the beginning. And so as a learner, if you look at that final competency for the module or the course and you say, I can show competency right now, then you're able to do that and skip all of the tasks that are leading up to that competency. Now, what kinds of tasks? You're going to be, designing competency-based continuums. You might be making a presentation for stakeholders on why to make the shift and what competency-based education is. You might be suggesting a school-wide or district-wide strategy to make this shift. There's all kinds of potential tasks or demonstrations of learning, but all of them are designed to be applicable to your current context and relate to your day-to-day work.
And as far as the research, you're doing action research. So it's not doing a lot of literature reviews, right? It's action research. So it's applied to your work as you're doing it. And there is no thesis. Instead, there is a capstone project where you're going to be asked to have some artifact. And on that slide deck we gave you, the 2 artifacts, those 2 things are artifacts that were created from folks in our first cohort. So it's less about doing a lot of literature review and writing a big research paper. It's more about applying your learning to your context in a meaningful way within your classroom, your school, and JCPS.
And that's one of the reasons that we emphasize the notion of doing this with teams, because it'll not only be the stuff that you can bring from your own current experience, but if those other people are also in your current experience with you, you can work on things together, share things together, and it may make it a more meaningful one, because the difference between this being a sit and get, this is really you working together with others to be able to demonstrate your learning by the things that you can use as evidence pieces and that you can co-construct together meaningfully.
I muted myself. As far as the time commitment, I can say generally, this is graduate level work. So however much time you might anticipate committing to a graduate level program, but I do think a more specific answer will likely be provided at the specific interest sessions with our program partners. All right, so Sarah, the timeline wise, and potential conflict with summer stuff, I think again that's a UK specific question. We know generally about the module structure, but can't say with any definitiveness of how it might impact your schedule. So that I think that's a UK specific question as well.
Yes, and the UK is aware of our summer program, so they know they exist also. And it may be that some of your work through the modules might be things that you're applying with the summer programs in JCPS. I don't know that. I would ask UK those questions. And next step, yes, the next step is to attend the specific provider meeting. You can go to UK or Spalding provider meetings, or you can go to one of each and figure out which is best for you.
Yeah, so that's the next step. If you're interested, the next step is for you to attend those specific interest sessions. And the only way we'll know to send you the invite to the virtual session is to complete the form. So please complete the form if you're interested. And if there are colleagues that you know that weren't able to be present, let us know. We'll or share the recording from today with them as well as the slide deck, and make sure that they complete this form as well so that they can receive that invitation to those program specific sessions too.
And we may have given you enough information so that you can, because of your current context, you can pretty clearly say, ooh, I'm really leaning this way or that way. But for a lot of folks, truly, since the substance is really very good quality, it could be well that you do need to see both of those particular programs, because for many people, either one will work fairly well.
Right. All right, so I will put the link to the form as well as the slide deck from today in the chat. And then again, guys, we'll be sending that out to everyone either tonight or in the morning. It really just depends on my 6-month-old baby, if I'm going to be able to do that tonight or if I'll do it in the morning. So here's the form to attend the next session. I just put that in the chat, and then I'm putting the slide deck link in the chat as well. And again, we'll be emailing those to you too, so you'll have those in multiple places. Our emails are there, Maddie Shepard and Joe McKim. Please feel free to reach out to us with any questions that you might have. And thank you guys for attending the interest session at 5 o'clock in the evening. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Hi, I had one question real quick. Could I?
Yeah, we'll hang on.
Okay, thank you. It has to do with the rank changes.